Today, I'm gonna go over 4 different ways you can mark your darts. That's right, there's more than one way to mark a dart. And you're gonna wanna watch to the end because each one of these methods can be useful in different situations. And you're gonna wanna know when and why to use them. So let's go. Let's learn 4 different ways to mark your darts. The first method is transfer paper. You can buy a package of this and it comes in different colors. And you're also gonna need your transfer wheel. Transfer wheel looks like this. It's basically got all these dull little pokey bits on it. So on a pattern, you're going to have notches at the bottom of the dart, and then you're also gonna have a spot for the tip of the dart. With this method, if your pattern does not already have the dart legs drawn, just draw them in. Just connect your dart point with the bottom of the dart leg there, and then you're gonna see there's your dart for the pattern. Cool thing about this method is if you have a pattern that you need to mark 2 darts, like this one's on fold, you're gonna mark both darts at the same time. Let me show you how that works. So we have a dart here marked on the pattern, but the pattern is unfold. So we need to mark 2 darts at the same time because one of these is going to appear on each side of the bodice. So to make sure this works out properly, we need to make sure we have the wrong sides of our fabric together. And then we want to fold our chalk paper so we have chalk on both sides. And then we're going to place the chalk paper in the middle and lay out your pattern like normal. And now when we place our pattern on the paper, all we need to do is weight it down, and then we're going to take our transfer wheel and we're going to push right through the dart. And now when we remove the pattern and we pull back our fabric, you can see I have 2 darts in exactly the same spot, one for the right and one for the left. And the transfer paper works the same way if you only need to mark 1 dart. You just don't need to fold it in half because you just have 1 layer. This method is great for sturdy fabrics. You don't want to use this method on fabrics that have a really open weave or fabrics that are really soft and shiny because that transfer chalk paper just brushes away. It doesn't stay on top of the fabric. So you want to use this method for strong, sturdy, flat fabrics. For the next method, we're going to use an awl and some scissors. And this method is great if you have like 10 layers of fabric you need to go through to mark. This is more of like an industrial sewing method. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you like and subscribe to Sewing Anastasia. It really helps out the channel a lot. And if you'd like to improve your sewing skills, make sure you check out my online sewing classes. Links for that are down below. Now let's get back to marking out some darts. For this next method, I have 4 layers of fabric here together, so that way you can see it go through all the layers. Now for the tip of the dart to mark it, we're going to take an awl and we're going to push it through all of the layers. So I usually hold it against the table and then I pull the fabric up onto it. So you can see that the fabric is going around the awl and the awl is coming out of that back layer of fabric. So the 4th layer. And now when I remove this, you can see that it looks like there's a hole here. Now it's not ruining your fabric. All it's doing is taking the fibers and pushing them away from the tip of the awl, which means your point is marked on all 4 of the layers. And to mark the bottom of the dart legs, we're just gonna snip in 1/4 of an inch with our scissors. So I'm just gonna lift up the layers here, make sure my scissors are under, and make sure I'm snipping in 1/4 of an inch. The most important thing to remember about this method is when you snip in, you do not want to go past your seam allowance. So if I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on here, 1/4 inch is great, and you can see that little snip in the bottom of the fabric. And we're going to do this to both sides. There we go. And now when I remove my pattern, I have my spots marked. I have the bottom of the dart legs marked and the dart tip. So we have everything there we need to create a dart. And just like that, we went through 4 layers of fabric. That was so quick to mark 4 darts. And the reason the seam allowance is so important on the bottom of those dart legs is because we don't want to have any holes in our fabric. That little snip's just going to remain on the inside of your garment. This method is useful for just about any type of fabric. Unless it has a very open weave, then you're never going to see that snip or that little push from the awl in it. And again, very useful if you need to cut out many pieces of fabric at the same time. For the next method, you're going to need some chalk or a fabric marker to mark your spots. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to mark with chalk. The first method with chalk is going to involve a pin. So take a pin, put it through the tip of your dart. So that way it goes through all the layers that you have. And now what you can do is lift up your pattern and mark that top layer right where the pin is. Go ahead, lift up your bottom layer and mark right where the pin is. So now you have marked both of your dart points on both sides of the fabric. And you can also do the same thing for the bottom of the dart legs, or you could just clip into them. Totally up to you. So just remove that paper piece, go ahead, mark that top layer, go ahead, mark that back layer, and then same thing for the other dart leg. Mark right where that pin is on both layers. And just like that, you will have your 3 spots marked on the front and the back, assuming you have your fabric folded so that way the right sides are together. And obviously you can do the same thing if you only have 1 layer of fabric. Now let's talk about the next method for using chalk. First, we need to prep our pattern. We're gonna take the awl and we're just gonna push it through the tip of the dart there, making a nice little hole. And then what we're going to do is take our notcher and we are going to notch out the bottom of the dart legs here. And if you don't have a notcher, you could use your scissors just to cut out a little bit at the bottom of the dart. So we've got little holes or little spots basically marked out at the bottom of the dart and the tip of the dart. And you've probably guessed exactly what we're going to do. We are going to chalk in these little cutout spots here. And since it's only going through 1 layer, if you want to do the other side, you're going to have to flip it over, flip over your pattern, so that way your pattern is face down, and then go ahead and chalk in those little spots, and then you will have both sides of your fabric marked. And that is one of the most universal methods for marking the darts because it works on just about any fabric that's out there. And sometimes you need to choose a different chalk or fabric marker to work with a specific type of fabric. But as soon as you find that, you're good to go. The last method I'm going to show you is referred to as thread tacks. We are going to use a needle and thread and we are going to mark a bunch of spots. And why would you ever want to do that method? Well, I will explain at the end. For this method, you're going to need a needle and thread, and I always like to double up my thread so I have 2 strands. First, I'm going to mark the dart tip. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to push it through both layers of fabric, pull it out on the other side, and I want to leave about 1 inch on the top, and then I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to cut my thread, but I'm going to leave about 1 inch of thread on the back as well. And now what I can do is take these layers, lift them apart a little bit, and then I can also cut in between. So they're separated, but we have the thread tacks marked on both sides. So we know exactly where the tip of the dart is. And you can use this method if you need to mark a line on a pattern, especially if you've got a curved dart or some special pleat you need to mark, maybe in draping or something like that. So we can take the needle and we can go back and forth through the spots, making sure that we're leaving enough thread tails on both sides. Leave a bunch of thread. Don't be worried about having too much thread. It's better to have too much thread on this than not enough thread. So make sure you've got that thread loop, and then we can go down. And when you come back up, make sure you're coming back up in the right spot on the pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my needle away. I'm going to cut these loops here that I have. I'm going to carefully pull away the pattern, making sure that the thread is not getting stuck in the pattern. And then I can carefully go ahead and separate some of the layers and start clipping those little pieces of thread in half. There we go. And just like that, I have these marks on here where the little dots are that I know I need to line up. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. You can see we have the thread here outlining the 2 triangles that we needed on our fabric. This method is really great if you have a fabric that won't take chalk, or you don't want to snip into it or push those fibers apart, or if you have something that's super, super delicate. All you need is that little thread in there to lead the way and show you where that dart's at. We did it. We marked our darts 4 different ways. Can you believe it? That was so cool, wasn't it? Let me know if you have any tips for marking darts down below in the comments. There are tons of different ways to do this, and maybe you have a method that's amazing that nobody's ever seen before. Leave it down below in the comments and share it with everyone. I know everyone would love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching 4 different ways to mark some darts. You guys have any questions, leave it down below in the comments, and I will get back with you as soon as I can. And if you enjoyed the video today, make sure you like and subscribe to Sewing Anastasia. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for watching today. These videos are for you guys. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. And if you're not already a subscriber on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the social, make sure you check it out and subscribe so that way we can stay connected and creative together. And don't forget, I teach those sewing classes here in Chicago, my design studio, and online. So make sure you check out the links down below to get all the info. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.